If you're anything like me, then you are getting very tired of seeing your own home. So I've been trying to combat the cabin fever by being a little creative and doing some DIYs. And of course my mind keeps going to Disney since I'm really missing those Disney trips that we've had to cancel since the parks got closed. Another thing that I've been doing to sort of pass this time is cleaning out and organizing my art supplies. I have the tendency to grab something just because I think it looks cool, even if I don't really have a good project or use for it. And so sometimes I end up holding on to something for a while and sometimes even completely forgetting that I have it for a while, and then all of a sudden it's perfect for something that I have in mind. This is one of my favorite Disney World shirts. I've had it for several years now and I absolutely love it. I love that it's like a black and gray and silver t-shirt, so it's not like bright and super cheerful and overly cartoony like some Disney merch can be. I thought this one was a little bit, simpler, a little more mature, so I can wear this out and about without feeling like some little weird 12-year-old because I have the tendency apparently to look 12. I don't know, but I really love this shirt. I love that it's mostly black with the very simple graphic on it, so I thought, why not make some artwork that's kind of inspired by this shirt. So this is a DIY glow-in-the-dark Cinderella Castle artwork. Again, I used materials that I have on hand, but you could definitely pretty easily find comparable things, or you could sort of go a little bit off in your own direction very easily. It's all up to the look that you are personally going for. Again, I'm going for a fairly subtle, kind of dark, moody, a slightly more mature look with this artwork, a little more sophisticated, but it would be so much fun if this was in like bright primaries or metallics or something. You could definitely go a ton of different ways and very much go in your own direction with this very easily. My first step was to lay out a trash bag to avoid making a mess. Then I pulled out a canvas that I happen to have on hand, but again, whatever you have handy will be fantastic. I opened that up and then I pulled out some black matte paint and a reasonably large paintbrush. No need to be neat here, so I just drizzled some black paint directly onto the canvas and spread it out reasonably evenly. It doesn't have to be perfect, just fairly even with no really big obvious brush strokes, and be sure to cover the sides all around all four edges because those will be visible. I let that dry a little bit before moving on. It didn't have to be completely dry, just enough that I wouldn't make a huge mess. Then I pulled out these random neon glow-in-the-dark acrylic paints that I got at the Five Below dollar store and have been dying to try. I put some of the green paint onto the toothbrush and just flicked the bristles until I spattered a little bit of paint all around the canvas. I found it helpful to push the paint just a little bit down into the bristles so that it definitely flicked more rather than just being a big glob on top. I concentrated my spatter kind of around the top and the two sides, leaving the center and the bottom a little bit less covered because I know that I'm going to be painting over that later anyway. I made sure to do a pretty good covering, several different coats of this to make sure I had lots and lots of stars. Then I used my Cricut and an extra piece of vinyl to cut a stencil of Cinderella's castle out. If you don't have a Cricut, any sort of stencil that you can find will work just fine for this project. You could even just cut some simple shapes out of like contact paper and that would work just as well. Remember to pull away the actual castle and leave the space around that. That's the part you're going to actually want to use for the project. I laid it down with the top edge of the stencil along the top edge of the canvas and then sort of smoothed it down from the top down. Once it was mostly in place, I used my fingers to push it down a little bit more, and then I took something to use as like a squeegee to make sure that I really had it pressed down really well along all those little bits and details. If you have a squeegee, that's great, or like me, you can use an old PhotoPass card from Disney World. And once again, I worked from the top down because that's the way I'm going to be painting on this, so it really makes sense to get everything stuck down well in that direction. At this point, anything you want to keep black should be covered with tape. So I'm going to run tape along the sides, having some overlap from the vinyl on the front, around the sides to the back of the canvas. Then I ran some tape going down along the side of the castle and down across the bottom of the canvas, so I'll have a nice clean edge along the outside of the castle all the way down to the bottom of the canvas. Then I made sure to cover my corners up really well, and the fun part begins. All along the top edge of the design, I ran some random little daubs of different colors of the glow-in-the-dark paint. And again, you don't have to use the same colors that I am. You could use any colors that you like, anything that will match your decor or the theme you're going for. They can be randomly placed. You just want to make sure that you run them all along the top edge of your entire stencil. I didn't plan it out really, it's very random, but you should keep a basic idea of color theory and what colors will mix nicely. And this is where the magic happens. Just take a brush or a squeegee or whatever you want, and starting at the top above each of your daubs of paint, just drag the paint down along the image. It makes all these great fun streaks of all these different colors. It's just absolutely magical, like a fun rainbow. A lot of different color stories will just look beautiful with an image like this. You can mix it as much or as little as you like, leave some of the black showing at the bottom if you like, or do like I did and drag the paint all along to the bottom of the canvas, even along the actual bottom edge. Then very carefully, while the paint is still at least tacky to get a clean edge, start pulling off all of your tape and your stencil. I gotta admit, I was actually really liking this sort of pastel neon rainbow look. Then with a little bit of silver paint, I signed and dated at the bottom corner. Then just set it aside and let it dry. This pastel rainbow was pretty cool, but I was working with a new product I'd never used before, and strangely enough, this paint dried essentially clear. So while my finished product ended up pretty different, it definitely shows you how you can get a wide variety of looks with this process. But I still ended up being very happy with the finished product because I ended up with a sort of matte black sky, but a sort of satin finished castle, and I think it ended up pretty darn cool. Like I said, I was going for a more subtle, kind of sophisticated look, and I definitely ended up with that. So that's my glow-in-the-dark Cinderella Castle artwork, and I love it. I'm so happy with how this turned out. It really reminds me of the parks at night when all the glow-in-the-dark, like, bubble wands and toys start coming out, and all the attractions are all lit up so beautifully, including the castle in particular. Always looks so nice at night. And then we get the fireworks and all those different colors, which are very subtly worked into this. I love it. I hope you found this helpful and inspiring. If you did, remember to like down below and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. I upload a new video every Monday and Thursday. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time.